The guy I hope gets a job is Byron Leftwich. Dan Quinn is the hottest name right now, and he's not the name I'm going with, but he's interviewing with Denver, with Chicago, Miami, Minnesota, and this is a Cowboys defense that ranked 19th, and that was total defense, but 7th in points allowed. They ranked 23rd in points allowed, Paul, a year ago. They took a big step forward, and he's getting a lot of looks. Many people think that he's going to end up in Denver just by, crystal balling it or fit. But he was one game above 500 with the Atlanta Falcons. And there are a lot of other retread head coaches who have, if you're hired in the league, chances are you're going to get fired in the league sooner rather than later. And you've got Jim Caldwell, Doug Peterson, or a couple of other names that keep circling. Chad, we mentioned yesterday, Matt Eberflus is interviewing in Chicago. Brian Daboll has also done that as the offensive coordinator with the Bills. He's interviewed in Chicago. Leslie Frazier. And you're not a fan of all the retread coaching.
In general, I'm not a fan of retread coaching inside the box hires where NFL owners don't get creative enough in finding head coaching candidates. But I will say, if you gave me a top 3 of Dan Quinn, Doug Peterson, Brian Flores, I'm putting on that list, guys who recently had some success and only had the one head coaching gig, I'm fine with these guys getting a job. And I think all 3 of them will end up with one of these jobs, and
Quinn,
I'm totally
Flores.
fine with that. Peterson, who won a Super Bowl, and for whatever reason, he's now in the mix. Dan Quinn, Brian Flores, I would hire those guys if I'm an NFL team. Typically, this is an odd year for this. I would have a big issue with retread coaches getting so many opportunities. I think those 3 guys will and probably should have one of these job openings. Another point I want to raise with this, you said Dan Quinn in Denver. Interesting to me that Denver seems to be the most desired spot with a number of these coaches. When you look at these lists, they don't know who their owners are going to be.
Right.
Can you think of another franchise that doesn't know the ownership situation
to me because of that?
That would be so attractive? I feel like when all of this was going on here in Nashville with the Titans, there's a coaching change. That's a huge red flag. Well, I don't know who's going to go there. They don't know who they're going to answer to. They don't know who's going to own the team. They don't know the direction of the team. No one's talking about that with Denver. Is it because they assume it's going to be Elway or Peyton Manning running everything either way and it's going to be just fine? I don't know, but I just find that interesting that they're not getting red flags as a coaching opening because they don't know who their ownership's going to be.
Elway has said if he's a part of the ownership group that gets the Broncos, he does not want the figurehead spot of the group.
He wants to be like a consultant.
Yeah, and he doesn't want to run things. He stepped down obviously from being GM.
Yeah, so
he's going to be in the background.
I mean, not knowing the ownership structure.
Then it would be Peyton
in Denver doesn't make it great, right?
I think.
It's one of 32 jobs.
Yeah,
so.
There's something about it organizationally. And there's a decent roster if you find the quarterback. I agree. Quinn seems like the guy for Denver. I talked to somebody, a couple people in the course of Hall of Fame kind of stuff. Dabble to Miami. They like the pairing of him with Tua. So that's one to look out for. Polian is basically running the Chicago thing. Now, Eberflus has been called back a second time, which is a bit of a surprise.
Well, it's not a surprise because
he's a Polian guy.
Well, he's going to be their new general manager's guy. They have interviewed, I can't remember his last name, Ed something. He's the assistant general manager in Indianapolis.
Donatel?
No, short last name. He's the assistant GM in Indy. Wow. They have interviewed him for the general manager position in Chicago, and they had also interviewed Eberflus. So if you're going with Ed Dodds, if you're going with him, that pairs up well because your new GM would have the coach that he knows well.
Frazier and Caldwell are Polian guys. So if it doesn't go that direction, those are guys to look for there. I like Caldwell as a candidate. He won't win the press conference, and he'll get killed for sideline demeanor and quietness and all of that. But like Armando said with Miami, if your organization's in disarray and you need somebody to settle things down and achieve a baseline of acceptable play, and behavior and culture, he can do that. I would interview Rich Bisaccia. I think he's done a terrific job there, and if he's in limbo as interim, and I think he can go to Mark Davis and say, if I'm not positively your guy, I think you should let me interview, or maybe he just can. But I think these teams should be thinking along those lines. Jonathan Gannon, I'm surprised, is getting the attention that he's getting, and I don't think he's ready. I know Young is in.
One guess, I think it was CBS. CBS put Jonathan Gannon as the next head coach of the Texans, which I was like, where are they pulling that from?
Well, I mean, he might be the right kind of guy there because I don't think he's ready. So he'd be the puppet kind of guy that you want. If
they had their puppet guy.
But they had philosophical disagreements with that puppet.
Did they turn his headset off? What happened?
I like Jim Caldwell. He's 67 years old. You're going to start out hiring you said, Young is in. I don't know that hiring a 67-year-old to start something with your organization in any organization is ever in. I'm not trying to be ageist here, but hiring a head coach that's been out of it for a little while, 67. Leslie Frazier's 62.
That would make Caldwell the third oldest
maybe. Belichick and
again though Belichick. How long has he been there?
Pete Carroll's like 71,
and Pete Carroll's been there for a long time too. I mean, I understand guys aging into it where you can be in your 70s and still be productive and do a really good job being someone for a long time. I don't know that I'm in a rush to go hire a 67-year-old to start a rebuild.
Look,
with my NFL franchise.
Ideally, I'd want him to be middle-aged. I don't want him to be a kid, and I don't want him to be old.
Dan Quinn is 51. Matt Eberflus is 51. That's about the age, I think, of hiring a head coach in the NFL that they're going to be.
See, I'm going younger. I'm going 40 to 42 is what I'm looking at. And the guy that I hope...
that's a very narrow window.
I don't know.
Brian Flores is 40.
I don't know how old my candidate is, but I'm guessing he's between 40 and 42 because I'm willing to bet he's the same age as like Matt LaFleur or Kyle Shanahan. The guy I hope gets a job is Byron Leftwich. And I think he could be an influx of fresh, adaptable, bring an adaptable style. I think he would be a great fit in Jacksonville for Trevor Lawrence after working with Brady. The thing I like about what he's done, and Jacksonville, this goes beyond just him being a former first-round pick for them. With Bruce Arians hiring him in, 2019, Byron Leftwich claims that Bruce Arians has not stepped foot in one of his offensive meetings since he was hired. And Arians hired him and said, I trust you. This is your offense. I'm taking a step back from it. Run it. And then they brought in Brady last year. This was before Brady had even arrived. And now he's formed that offense around to Brady's requirements. He was doing it prior with a number of other guys at quarterback.
Who was it the year before? Was it still Jameis?
I think it was Jameis, and then they rotated.
Year.
Well, they rotated one of the guys. Yeah, but a 30 touchdown year too.
42 years old, Byron Leftwich.
42.
Right in your window of 40 to 42.
Yeah, that's the thing about Jameis is he'll throw 30 picks, but he'll put up 30 touchdowns, and they didn't have any run game whatsoever. And then they bring in Brady and pair that with Mike Evans and other. I like the course. I think he's adaptable, young, built to lead, and that if you're looking for a mentality of toughness, which some of these organizations are in desperate need of, Jacksonville's one of them. I can't think of a tougher dude that can pull up, Chad, the November 2002 video in the Akron game where Marshall's playing Akron. He goes to the hospital, gets his leg looked at and propped up, and then returns to the game and is hobbling around, and guys are helping him down the field.
He's not even hobbling. He's getting carried.
Yeah,
he's completing a pass, and his offensive line is carrying him to the line of scrimmage to take the next step.
Yeah, he had his leg set and then returned into the game. There's a mentality factor there that I think Leftwich brings. And again, I think he's done a tremendous job since Arians hired him in 2019.